listening in New York City online. You're on Free Talk Live. Hi, Gary.
Hello. I was listening to one of your shows. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
I was listening to one of your shows about 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm not sure if the topic of the show was homeschooling or not, but there was a parent or a couple of parents that called in talking about how great homeschooling was for children and how much more intelligent their children were compared to children that were schooled in public schools. And I've just taken out my 10th grader. Actually, she decided to come out of public school and learn at home. And so I just was wondering if this show is cataloged, because I wanted to look up the curriculum that they use for their children.
You're asking if Free Talk Live is cataloged?
Or maybe you remember the curriculum that they were talking about that they used for their children.
Dude, I barely remember what happened yesterday on the show, let alone what happened 4 or 5 years ago.
But all of the archives are online.
All of the archives are online. I don't know how you would search through and find, details like that. We don't have like minute-by-minute rundowns of what happened.
You do have descriptions of all of the shows.
True.
So if somebody did a search where they put Free Talk Live in quotes, and then they capitalized the word and put homeschool in quotes,
you might find
then
something.
they would find a lot of Free Talk Live episodes that talked about homeschool.
You might, and maybe one of those episodes would be the one, and I don't know, you may or may not be able to find that. But what you're just looking for resources, is that right? Homeschooling resources?
Yes and no, but yes, you could say yes.
Well, I guess I'm confused about what you're looking for. You were wondering what program they were using or something, right?
Yeah, because they were speaking so highly of what their children.
Maybe it was Khan Academy? Would it have been Khan Academy 4 or 5 years ago?
Possibly. Khan Academy's been out, but Khan Academy is not necessarily a curriculum.
Right.
Well, I have no idea, but what I'd recommend that you do is contact some homeschooling groups. There's plenty of resources out there for homeschooling parents, and a lot of these questions are, I'm sure, easily answerable by people who actually have children who've homeschooled. Of the 3 hosts in the show tonight, you do have a son, Daryl, I think, but he's not with you at the moment.
Right. I would suggest contacting Brett Venat, former co-host, who runs the School Sucks Project.
That's a good idea. SchoolSucksProject.com, I believe, is his website.
Yes.
So I hope that helps you, Gary. Anything else?
What's that way I can search your show for past shows?
You were just talking about Google search, right? I
could do a Google search or just go to SoundCloud. That's where all the archives are, is SoundCloud.
Or you can try the search bar at freetalklive.com. There's a search bar at the top right. So see how that works out for you. And thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Personally, I don't really much care for the idea of homeschooling. I don't like the idea of having to try to figure out what my kids would want to learn. I'd rather they figure it out for themselves. I like the idea of unschooling, where the child directs their own learning on their own volition. I think that's a really exciting idea.
Well, right, but if you're a parent, wouldn't you want to find what your child enjoys learning and then, do things to purposely encourage that?
You could, but I think
that's called directed learning, to where you figure out what the child is interested in, and then you help them and direct them in ways to where they can learn the thing that they're wanting to know.
I think the problem with that approach is that inevitably, Ellen, what you'll see is that as much as they might try not to, the parent's inevitably going to put their own biases and interests in there. Kind of like the classic example of the parent that wants their kid to be a piano player, or they want their kid to be a, whatever it was that they were when they were growing up.
But you could make the argument that you would only do that if you weren't really interested in your child's, best interests.
Well, the parent who was arguing for their child to fulfill their own dreams would, I'm sure, make the argument that it's in their best interest.
Right, but that parent would not in any way claim to be unschooling their child.
I didn't say that they would be claiming that. Ellen was talking about directing learning,
right?
And that's not unschooling.
That's supporting it. I'm just talking about supporting it, like doing things that purposely encourage it. Like buying supplies or taking trips or things like that.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So Mark often talks about how his son gets into Legos and certain other things, and so they'll go buy a Lego set.
I see.
That's not Mark saying, you're going to be into Legos because I bought you Legos.
Mm-hmm. No. I get where you're coming from. What I thought Ellen was getting at would be that the parent would sort of try to start the child onto certain things.
No.
Yeah.
The parent figures out what the child is interested in and then helps direct them in ways to where they can learn more about that thing that they're showing an interest in.
And you're saying that's not unschooling?
I've heard that. You said that's not unschooling.
Okay.
I've heard that used in combination. So it's an unschooling with directed learning.
Okay.
So you don't start the day with a set curriculum as you would with homeschool. But you will help, your child go in the direction that they are trying to learn.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.